Let's see. It says we should be. Someone want to check LinkedIn? I can go over and check some LinkedIn channels, or you guys check.
Okay. Well, if we are live, I'll kick things off. What's up, everyone? This is the third hour of the 25-hour podcast sponsored by Celsius Beverage. And of course, all about the OWL community giving back. We got raffles every single hour going off where if you get called on OWL, you get a raffle. If you comment on this LinkedIn feed, of course, we put your name in the bin right here. And 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock on Saturday, all these different people are going to come into the studio and give something away, and you get your chance to win some of these giveies. So, sell some stuff, OWL merch. Welcome, Nancy. How's everything going today?
Wonderful. Thank you. So glad to be here and be able to help out. It's wonderful to be a part of this team.
Cool. And here's our main host of the day, Mr. Jonathan Palmer, LinkedIn guru. So we are all set. We got everyone in the house. Officially switched. Not always this counts, but we're bringing it up 3 hours.
We're doing it. Yes. If anybody's paranoid about it, it's me, because the rule is we can't have any dead time or else that defeats the whole purpose. What are these guys doing? Sleeping in between? Can't do that. So we have a very special guest. We got Mark Savant. Mark, we have a very special connection. I had the worst interview of all time with Mark. It looked like I was recording my Zoom from a potato.
One of those. We've all had those days.
Oh, but it pained me. It pained me. So Mark, you've been doing this a long time. You've been podcasting for a very long time, and you have had some of the best guests I've ever seen stacked up. So tell everybody about you a little bit.
Yeah, well, I guess the first question I have is, if we don't go live 25 hours straight, what happens? You shave your head?
He broke the contract.
That should be, yeah. Breaking the contract is actually worse than shaving my head because it is a very lucrative contract. So, yes, we should make a challenge. We should do that. So by the end of the hour, we'll find a good challenge.
That's what Mr. Beast would do.
That Mr. Beast would go all in on that, right? He would. He'd make those stakes high. So, yes, we need to do something. If I start getting a little woozy, we'll cut 1 inch of hair for every time that I start dozing off a little bit. How about that?
I like it. It's official.
It's official, guys. But I got a lot of energy. It'll be a hard time. So, Mark, tell us about you a little bit.
Yeah, so I run a podcast agency. I help thought leaders launch, automate, and grow podcasts. And I got to be honest, this is probably the most disruptive time in human history that we're living through.
Woo! What does that mean?
Disruption. Everything. AI, media, tech, automation, 25-hour live streams. It used to be, if you want to do this, you needed to be on a platform like CNN. And now we're doing it from Boca Raton, South Florida. And that's what fascinates me. What's the disruption we need to focus on so we can survive in our industry, in our relationships, in our lives? Because if you ain't learning, you're dying.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, I feel like I should put on like a really tight police outfit and go around handing tickets to people who are failing to learn. If you don't know what ChatGPT is yet, you might as well just quit. I hate to be, I feel like I could go around slapping people. Statistically, only 16% of people know what ChatGPT is.
16%? Stop it.
Globally, 16% of people know what ChatGPT is.
Stop it. Really?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about ChatGPT a little bit, because I think that also audiences are starting, or maybe it's like you and I and Jason kind of live in a bubble, right? Because for me, ChatGPT is almost old news. Like, it's just something that I've become so familiar with. I went all in. I bought a $14,000 course as soon as I found a great one, and I went all in learning the platform and how to optimize it. But do you feel like we're still very early in the ChatGPT process, where if people invested their time into it seriously now, it's still soon in the process? It's still worth it?
The game hasn't even started yet, right? I feel like we're waiting in the dugout, right? And there are 2,000 new AI apps that are dropped every single week. I'm speaking to at least a half dozen AI app developers every single month. The game is just starting, right? And the biggest, I've got a prediction.
What's your prediction?
Bold prediction.
Bold.
The next billion-dollar company is going to have one employee. That's going to be the founder. That's it. Founder.
Wow.
Billion-dollar company. Calling it.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Calling my shot. So, and I don't want to overwhelm people, because I think that's where you don't want to be.
Right.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, right? But just people ask me, Mark, what do I need to do to start a business? What's the right next business idea? It's simple. Spend 15 minutes a day playing with ChatGPT. Ask it your questions. Your wife's mad at you. Ask ChatGPT. You're having an accounting question. Ask ChatGPT. You want to create better podcast episodes. Ask ChatGPT. And I'm not saying that it's going to get it all right, but it's a matter of getting comfortable with the discomfort, testing it out, and you're going to find you're as soon as you start using it, your brain is going to explode and you're going to reach like the next level of enlightenment. And I'm telling you, this is fact.
Mark, I got a question for you though, right? Here's a question. I grew up with MapQuest, and then eventually it became GPS, and now it's to the point where it doesn't matter if I'm driving home from work. I don't know how to get there without my GPS. I'll be honest, because I just don't pay attention, right? So, with technology like this, do you think that we'll get to a point where we just like critical thinking is no longer a thing because we rely so much on these apps and these things to do the work for us that we're just going to get stupider?
Well, if you've seen Idiocracy, you realize that there's a little bit of truth in that. Shout out to Judge. But yeah, so the short answer is for some, yes, they're going to get dumber. They're going to become too reliant on machines to think for them, right? But for others, it's going to expand your time tremendously. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I'm growing up, I just hit 40. Shout out to all the 40-year-olds out there. 40 is the new 20. I'm so hot still. When I was growing up and the teacher's like, all right, I need you to write a book report. It needs to be 10 pages long. You need to use 20 sources. I'd go down to the library. I'd open up the almanac, the encyclopedia. I would spend hours and hours and hours just trying to find like one sentence that I could input. If the same teacher asked me to do that today, what would have taken me 20 hours will now take me less than 20 minutes because I can go to ChatGPT, which, by the way, ChatGPT version 4 just released an update where it can browse the web in real time.
Wow, okay.
And I can ask ChatGPT, hey, help a brother out. I'll prime it, which if you're not familiar with prime, we can talk about that. But I'll ask.
Do you literally write help a brother out? Is that like your first words in ChatGPT?
You could. Because listen, you can train ChatGPT to speak in your voice or in the voice of Donald Trump or whoever, Elon Musk. You can train ChatGPT. But regardless, I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me a 20-page or let's call it 15,000-word research paper on the moon landing and make sure to use 20 different websites as references, include the links, and it will do the whole thing.
Wow.
It will do the whole thing. Now, by the way, if you've used ChatGPT and you have this problem where it's just kind of like stops typing mid-sentence, it'll like type, 15,000 characters and then stop. You just use the prompt continue. Just type continue. Just type continue and it'll pick up where it left off.
Easy enough. I love that. Great advice. Great tactical tips. So Nancy, we have you here in that hosting it. Tell us a little bit about the technology that you're experiencing. Are you a big fan of ChatGPT? Is this something that you're implementing or what's your opinion?
Yes, I have really enjoyed playing with ChatGPT and getting to the point of having a conversation with my AI. There's something to using your own voice, and I still do that quite a bit. But what I'll do is use my voice, type in what I would say, and see what ChatGPT comes up with, right? So still my voice, still my words, but maybe they're saying it in a way that's more fluid or more comprehensible or less words. I tend to be wordy, so have been really enjoying that. Thank you. Sorry, my volume's too high, killing your ears.
You are very loud on that side.
Very loud.
Very loud.
In general, I am, yes. But, for a lot of my posts and stuff on social media, I'm still writing them. I'm still holding on to that ownership. But for a lot of other things, ChatGPT is an amazing tool. I am, in the process of changing jobs, and it wrote a whole cover letter for me. Now, that's something that, again, want it to be my voice, added some more personal stuff. But as you were saying, there's no reason for me to take hours on that when there are more important pieces in the process for me to be spending time on. That's really sort of where I'm putting that to use. And everyone, this is Katya Mimi. She is the live stream kitty. No matter when I'm live, she makes an appearance. She's the world's most social cat. So there's always a tail on my face. But I think if you haven't explored it and you're afraid of it, you just need to go and literally have a conversation with AI. Just say, hey, you can even say, what can you tell me about, and type in your name, because it does do that search, right? It can find you on the internet. And so you might be able to find out things about yourself. You can ask, what's the next step for, whatever it is you're planning. You can ask for advice. You can ask for help. I'm trying. I'm such a loud human.
That's a great example because I was running a mastermind lead group the other day, and we were doing role plays where we're going to role play selling, pitching your service, product or service, selling, and then using and then overcoming objections. And so going into it, I said, hey, ChatGPT, this is what we're doing. We're doing role plays. What are 20 really common objections? And it gave me all the objections instantly. I sent it to the team and or to the group, and you can keep, like you said, go back and forth with it, which is so powerful. You haven't been able to do that before.
Yeah. And again, when you're doing those types of things, I recently was doing a tweet chat with Winnie Sun and sort of did the same thing. Like, what are the biggest obstacles to X, Y, and Z for the topic we were talking to? Because lots of people know about kindness leadership, compassionate leadership, but what's keeping us from doing it? Well, I can suppose a lot of those things and I can do a ton of research, but with ChatGPT, I was able to, immediately get some information that I could build on. It wasn't my sole source. And again, using my voice, I can build on it. I can change it, or I can start with my voice and see what it can come up with for me. I think it's a brilliant tool, and I think it's not going to replace all of our individual writing, because we are humans and we are unique in that way. And when our thoughts flow, sometimes that's just what it is and what it needs to be. But for a lot of ways where we're putting a lot of time and energy and effort into things that maybe disproportionately end up getting that time and effort and keep us from doing other things, I think it's a great tool to explore and use.
Yeah. And by the way, it's an open AI software. It's an open source software. So when you start applying ChatGPT and AI to other platforms, it starts to get really exciting. I'm going to give you another practical example right
Hey, the nuggets of wisdom.
Bro, that's what the After Hours Entrepreneur is
This
all
guy
about,
knows his
right?
marketing. This guy knows his marketing.
Forget about it. So here's the deal. When AI gets really exciting is when you can start automating it. And there's this program called Zapier. Probably you've heard of it
We know
before.
Zapier.
Zapier Suite. It incorporates softwares together that don't normally talk to each other, right? And I have a project that I'm working on right now. It's a blog project for my website, markspontmedia.com. And this is how it works. I reach out to CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, corporate executives, and I say, hey, how is your industry being disrupted right now? If you'd like, would you please fill out a quick Google form? It'll take them probably about 5 minutes to fill out this form. Zapier sends that Google form answers over to ChatGPT, the OpenAI software. It automatically gives me the title. It writes out the entire article automatically.
Ooh.
Automatically. Let me repeat that. Automatically. It writes out the entire article. I send that to my team member. Or wait, I'm skipping a step. It creates a brand new Google folder. It puts all the information together in a Google Doc. And then I have a team member go in, copy, paste, clean up, and then post it to my WordPress site. Then I reach back that CEO and say, hey, thank you so much for being a part of this project. Here's a link to your blog article. They share it with their community. All of a sudden, I've created a brand new friend, potential client, reaching out to potentially all their clients, which, by the way, it's 90% automated using ChatGPT and Zapier and Google.
Mark, what are you doing for the next 23 and a half hours?
Board meetings, client meetings, team meetings, all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, boy. Okay, so fair enough. Man, you're just full of so many nuggets of wisdom. I remember why I like talking to you so much. Now, kind of in the same vein as this, do you believe, and I know that do you believe that there's going to be industries that are completely eliminated because of ChatGPT and some of these new innovative softwares that are starting to appear on the market?
100%. Literally every single industry is going to be interrupted and impacted. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's take radiology, for example. What do radiologists do? They look at x-rays, they look at MRIs. They're going to be looking for things like small tumor, small things that stand out.
Right.
Guess what? They're humans. They make mistakes. There are AI softwares already being used now that are 50% more effective in finding cancerous tumors in colons. It would be neglectful for you to ever hire a radiologist that isn't using this technology, which, again, by the way, people always say this, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone that's using AI, which it's basically the same thing. Basically the same
I
thing.
like that you're, yeah. I like that. It's
basically the same, because if I, is a radiologist, maybe I previously had the bandwidth to, let's say, review 10 MRIs a day. Well, now with AI, I can review 100 or maybe even 1,000 in a day. right? So again, just a perfect example of how the medical industry is going to be is already being interrupted.
And it's only going to get worse. What do you think about like accounting and law? Like, I feel like some of those that are very, very number heavy, like a human just cannot compete with that type of technology. So do you feel like some of those are they just going to disappear? They're just going to become completely obsolete? Is it going to be billion-dollar organizations owned by one person, kind of like you were alluding to?
Yeah. So the answer is the cream is going to rise to the top. And the people that are going to be able to navigate this are the thought leaders.
Right.
The thought leaders. You're going to need to be adapting it, accepting it, and digging in. The thought leaders are going to be poised to explode. It's certainly in the legal field, this is a challenge because how are experts created? They read and write tons and tons of law. They don't need to do that anymore.
Right.
Because I don't need to hire an intern or assistant because I can have an AI software read all of it. So my opinion, and listen, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But my opinion is this is the time to start being seen as a thought leader in your industry, because while everybody else is afraid of it, they're going to naturally go towards the people that are leading the way, that are experimenting, that are adapting these new tech.
And I'm thinking that like the people with like the soft skills, right? The people that are naturally charismatic, that naturally know how to navigate politics, like those people that don't necessarily have the technical skills, but they're just great communicators, put themselves on social media, do podcasts, or just out there. Like those people may not have to worry as much as the people that are consistently in the trenches. Is that fair?
Yeah, you need to be creating long form content. You're not a thought leader unless you're creating long form content. 15-second TikToks are cute, right? Like, way to go, nice dance, but you need to be creating long form content. So long form content could be something like authorship, writing books. That's tough. Takes a long time. Although with ChatGPT, we could talk about that
in an hour.
Blogging. I'm a big believer in podcasting because the podcast is video, it's audio, it's text.
It's my favorite.
It's everything. So you check a lot of boxes. So you need to be creating long form content, something where you can flesh out an idea that's a little bit more complicated that can be discussed in a 15-second clip.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And like you said, like the different ways of distribution, right? Like everybody has their own style of consuming, right? So the more ways that you can adopt the content and cut it up, the better off you are. Now it's hard. It's so hard to know that we have all of this technology right on the forefront. What can we do to stay excited about the future when it feels like we're constantly losing more and more control?
Well, you focus on what you can control, you focus on what you can control. You're not putting the AI genie back in the bottle. So again, my recommendation, start small. ChatGPT is free. Spend 10 minutes a day just engaging with it. Just spend 10 minutes a day engaging with it. These tools are extremely, extremely powerful. When I started launching and working on podcast, it was so laborious. Now we can, using the systems that I've learned over the last 5 years, using the softwares that my team is playing with every day. I mean, we're producing way better content, way more quickly, way more efficiently for way more people. So, and that's really what I'm trying to focus on is how can we build up this next generation of thought leaders? And by generation, I don't mean Gen Z or millennial. I mean the people that are adapting to these ideas in tech. Right. Who are the people that are going to step up and be the thought leaders in their industries? Because it's all up for grabs right now. I believe that podcasting is the way to do that. We launch it, we'll automate it, we help you grow it so that you can actually create something that's meaningful and be seen as the thought leader.
So I want to just provide a couple more tangible tips for the audience. Podcasting, everybody feels like they need the fancy equipment. Everybody wants the Joe Rogan microphone. Everybody I need to have a studio. I need to have this. I need to have that. Can you kind of like dismantle this belief system? Or do you feel like production quality is as serious as people allude it to be?
All right. So two things. Podcasting might not be for you. So do you really want to drop 10 grand on a dope studio like this, 15 grand on a dope studio like this? And you're like 6 episodes in, you're like, well, I don't like talking. That could be a problem.
Oh boy.
So I think that's a problem on multiple levels. But the answer is you don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Fair.
I think it's better to get started quick. And I'll give you a perfect example. This Russell Brunson. He's the founder of ClickFunnels.
Yep.
Maybe you've heard of it. Pretty big marketing company.
Yep.
When he started his podcast, he started it on his phone using Anchor. he would just pop open his phone on the way to the office every day and record what he was going to be doing for the day. Now it's one of the top 100 podcasts for business and entrepreneurship.
And something that I love that Russell Brunson said is, like, if somebody asks him for advice, I'm sure you've heard this before. If somebody asks him for advice about creating podcasts, he says, go make 100 podcasts and then come talk to me, right? He did it 100 times before he felt like he had anything worth listening to. Alex Hormozy, big name on social media now, he's been doing it for over 5 years before he built an audience. And then it's almost like I forget where the quote came from, but I heard it and it was profound. It will take you 9 years to have that 1 year of success, right? 9 years of work to have that 1 year where you really blow up. I know that's a thing. We got a lot of comments coming in. Ishan, if you could actually check some of those comments, let's read some of those comments that are alive right now. But yeah, does some of that resonate with you? The first 100 episodes? How do you feel about that? I'm sure you have a process at this point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you could certainly get there way faster. You know, I personally, when I'm working with a client, like after 10 episodes, they're going to have a good idea of like, this is something that I want to lean into. And again, you can buy like a really nice. So again, you want to make it as easy as possible. The more if you're like, I got to drive down to the studio, that's 30 minutes. Then I got to wait for my turn. Then I got to record. Then I drive back home. Then I got to upload this. I'm going to download that. It kills the entire experience.
It does.
You need to make it as easy as possible to do it. So, you know, for me, get a decent mic for your home, get a decent camera. Even it could be a webcam or an $80 mic. It doesn't need to be complicated, but you just want to create a nice studio inside your home where you're not on a potato. You know what I'm saying?
No, stop it. PTSD.
You can look and sound very, very, very good for a couple $100. And by the way, Ish and I were talking about this in the waiting room out there, the lovely lobby down here in Boca Raton, South Florida.
Lovely lobby. Come in, guys, if you want to.
But we're talking about this in the lobby. Like some of the clips that do amazing are clips that are not produced highly at all.
Oh my God. Yeah, let me tell you about one of those examples. So yesterday I did LinkedIn Police 2, highly controversial. We shot the entire video on an iPhone with no microphones. It got 2.2 million impressions on an iPhone. I used to be so paranoid and paralyzed. I need a Canon M50, this, that, whatever, red camera to shoot it for LinkedIn. When the reality is the highest resolution a LinkedIn video can be anyways is 1080p. So it really doesn't matter how fancy you go with it, you're not capturing it. And for us, it also gives it this home movie feel that just resonates so much better with your audience anyways. Because here's the reality about video. When you overly produce your video, you lose some of the authenticity. People feel like, oh, there's probably a director on the other side. There's a camera crew. There's a script that they're following. But when you keep things really organic and authentic, you find that your audience, just like I said, they're watching a family movie. They're watching a home movie of a bunch of kids basically creating something together, you know? And yeah, so it really resonates with me. You don't need the super fancy to have something that's fantastic.
Yeah, the perfection paralysis. No.
That's a thing. That's a thing.
You got to go for it. You just got, like, I like how Sean Cannell says, you got to punch fear in the face and just press record.
Think media. Yeah, I love that guy. So, do you have to run? You're 30 minute, or you go another 30?
Listen, I got a board meeting in 15 minutes. So
okay, all right. So let's wrap it up.
Zone, baby.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So, any other like pieces of wisdom that you can give us around podcasting? I know a lot of my issue is, how do I format it? How do I keep people engaged for an entire hour? And I'm on right now for 25, so I'm learning as I go, as you can tell. But how do you keep an audience engaged for an entire hour-long podcast? Strategies?
All right, so a couple quick takeaways here. A, your podcast should probably not be an hour.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, it should probably be like closer to less than 20 minutes, to be honest.
Interesting.
To be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you're, experienced, you really know what you're doing. But yeah, I think that however long your podcast is now, you should probably cut it in half.
Okay. Good advice.
Maybe even cut it in half again. Have you ever heard like great writing is like write it, then cut it in half, then cut it in half, then cut it. That's kind of how I see podcasting.
Stephen King. Cut the 10% and then cut 10% of the 10%. Yep.
Yeah. So, A, your podcast is probably too long if it's an hour. B, your intros suck. Your intro is way too long.
Ooh.
Stop saying like, welcome to the studio. Thanks for subscribing. My name is Mark. My guest is John. John, will you please tell me your entire backstory? Which by the way, your guest is probably not a professional storyteller and sucks at telling their story and takes 10 to 15 minutes to actually get through it, by which time.
Then you hit them with the sponsors. Then you got to do 10 minutes of sponsors.
which again, by this time, nobody's paying attention, right? By the 10th minute, you got literally 0 listener viewership.
I skip right through, guys. I skip right through it because I want to get to the meat of it. So how do we implement the meaty part in the beginning? Is that how we do it?
I don't even do an intro anymore. I had James Altucher on my podcast.
Oh, he's a big name.
Awesome,
I love
awesome.
That guy,
He's got 25 books, New York Times bestseller. His podcast, James Altucher Show, gets like 4 million downloads.
How did you do that?
Listen.
Oh, that's the magic. That's why you got to reach out. What's the website again? Let's drop it in the comments.
By the way, those are connections, all connections that have been made because of podcasting. Wow. By the way, connections of a connection that rolled out in it. I could give you more stories about connections, but brought James Altucher on the show, and there was no like, "Hey, James, welcome for joining the show." It's like, James, you wrote this article about New York City is dead. Do you still believe that today? That's it. Boom.
Wow, I love that. You just bring them right into the story.
Drop people. You got to have people feel like they just got dropped into the middle of.
It's like Indiana Jones, the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're right in the action, and then you see the ball kind of rolling, and then you go to the classroom. But it's like, yes.
You have to have a hook. If your hook is along, listen. So this is something, when you're giving your intro, it's oftentimes like I said, way too long. But when you replay it, you're like, oh, I thought I was talking for 20 seconds. It was actually 2 minutes. So you got to drop people right into the middle of the action. I'll give you another third quick takeaway.
I'm going to be switching over. So yeah, you take it away.
Third quick takeaway here is you got to stop agreeing with your guests. Just stop. Your guest is probably right about a lot of stuff, but what people are interested in is a little bit of debate, a little bit of argument. That's where the best ideas come from. So what I would encourage you to do, and I heard this from Patrick Bet-David, who I was also talking to the other day, and this is the deal. Figure out, look at your life, look at your expertise. How many topics can you go 5, 6, 7, 8 layers deep on? Okay, find out these topics you can go layers deep on, and then look at your marketplace. Look at all the industry held beliefs and what's wrong. Why are they wrong? Bring on the people that have a different point of view and start debating them. That's how you create some friction, some excitement. Nobody wants to hear you bring on a guest and just nod and agree with everything they're saying. Unless you're agreeing with what I'm saying now, that's okay. But everything else, stop. And again, this is how thought leaders are going to be born, because there's people that have been in your industry for decades, and they don't get it. They don't get it. Kamala Harris was just appointed the AI czar in DC. What do you think Kamala Harris knows about AI? She doesn't know anything. Elon Musk doesn't know anything about AI, and you're bringing on Kamala. So again, perfect example. These long battleships, these large battleships that are way too bureaucratic, that have tens of thousands, hundreds and hundreds of employees. They don't understand what's happened. So now is the time for you to play your advantage, which is being nimble, which is finding the cracks in their armor, finding the things that they believe that you disagree with, and being vocal about it. That's where the thought leaders are going to be born. So find those people and bring them onto your show. That's Isha's nodding here. He's like, preach. It hits. The music is real for sure. I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer. I'll give you another quick takeaway. Stop relying on guests. Stop doing interviews. Interviews are great, but for most podcasts, people are logging in because they want to learn something. They're not logging in because they're wanting to hear 3 hours of Joe Rogan style podcast. You can't compete. You cannot compete with these giant podcasts. But what you can compete on is your personality and your expertise and your opinions on a particular topic. So what you do is you start creating some solo episodes, and solo episodes can be short, 5, 6, 7 minutes long. They don't need to be long, but quick solo episodes where you're teaching something, where you're explaining something. That's what'll keep people coming back. Plus, they take way less time to edit and produce and all that. Just like I gave you with the Russell Brunson example. 5 minutes on your phone, record, done. Those short solo episodes. Oh, and plus, by the way, this will make you a much more confident and effective public speaker, which I think we can all agree is pretty important.
It is. Well, thank you for dropping that wisdom. So we'll let you go because I know that you got to hop to your next thing. You good? Mark, my God, that was the most profound 36 minutes we've had so far. And I really got to commend Mark for this. It's like he understands how to just cut out all the fluff, remove all the noise. You can tell this guy has put a ton of work into his art as a creator, as a communicator. And I love that, dude. As a marketer, just listening to you talk and the way that you don't waste a second, that is an art form. And I got to give that to you. That is a skill, my friend.
You got to bring the heat, baby. Got to bring the heat. And this did not happen overnight. This took time.
Yeah. Any recommendations to people to become better communicators?
So A, like I said, solo podcast. B, start reading Atomic Habits. James Clear is phenomenal. You got to check that out. $100 million offers. Alex Hormozy.
$100 million leads out next Thursday.
Coming, already bought, already pre-purchased.
Oh, did you? I'm not surprised.
What else? Those are what I'm reading. Right. Oh, actually, I just finished those. I'm reading Predictable Success, which is another great book about the life cycle of business. Anyway, read more. I heard this the other day and I loved it. The episode is dropping in 2 weeks. I had a meeting with a speed reader, David, and this is the deal. Rich people read, poor people scroll. Sorry, not sorry. Rich people read, poor people scroll.
Oh, we could get into that one because I got some feelings about it. But Mark, I will let you go. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate you.
My absolute pleasure. I have learned so much. Thank you.
Got it. All right. So you can hop, my friend. So Nancy, do we have somebody behind the scenes that's going to be joining us?
We do.
We have somebody behind the scenes.
Right,
this is a little special surprise. Ishan, you want to take a seat while we take this one? Who do we got backstage that's going to be joining us?
All right. Well, let's keep the party going. Here we are. More expertise and wisdom and experiences shared.
What? Who is that? Who is that on screen right now? Look at this guy's biceps. Man, what a good-looking guy.
It's the guy who made you who you are. and his mother. We're here as a tag team partner, okay? This is the genetic makeup of the world famous John Palmar, okay?
Oh my gosh. I got my looks from my mother and charisma from my dad. I don't know about the looks from him though. But that's definitely how it goes. Yeah, so great to have you guys on. So right now I'm about 3 hours deep. You're still getting me while I'm fresh, and it's probably not going to last a lot longer. But I wanted to touch on a couple of different topics, and Nancy, feel free to ask them questions too, and hop into the conversation as you'd like to. But first and foremost, man, I owe a lot to my parents, honestly. Like, I think that there have been times where things were challenging, and there was definitely stuff in my childhood where I struggled. I was bullied a lot, and I wasn't a great student, which created its own set of challenges. But every single thing that I went through, I'm super grateful for all of the wisdom because it made me who I am. And you can't take any of it and view it from a regretful standpoint. I'm proud of the childhood that I had because I did have two loving parents that took really good care of me. And we went on family vacations. We did all the things. I never went hungry. I always had the things that I wanted. Of course, children are greedy and they're always going to want more. But I had all my needs met, and I came from a loving family, and I think that's at the end of the day, and also spirituality. I grew up in the church. I always had a passion for speaking, and it gave me that outlet at times. So yeah, just go ahead. You guys can introduce yourselves, or at least you while you're on, and just maybe talk about my childhood a little bit. What kind of kid was I? I was a little bit of a weirdo.
Well, first, we're very, very proud of you, John. I mean, both your mother and I are very excited to be a part of this great world record-setting live event. I think it's spectacular. Congratulations to you and your team. It's absolutely wonderful. I'll tell you, there are challenges with being parents. I can't imagine a mother and father who won't say that they went through ups and downs with any kid. But at the end of the day, you raise them the right way, and this is the result. You get John Palmar, so I mean, that's all good. So from our perspective, both your mother and I, Joe Palmer here, Leslie, come and join me here on the screen. And Les, you would say it was a pleasure really raising John. I mean, he wasn't a difficult kid to raise. I mean, had his unique sets of challenges, but overall, I think whatchamacallit was a great kid.
Wait, but my mother needs to tell the story about how I would keep trying to stick my finger in the electrical socket. So go ahead, take that one away. I always had a curiosity.
Did you want curly hair? Is that what it was?
I think it was just from day one. I mean, I knew that God had great plans for you, John, and just
thank you.
Your loving heart. No matter what, you never give up. and you're a fighter, and we're very proud of you because you always strive for the best, and you don't let any situation pull you down. It just makes you stronger.
Well, most importantly,
we're going to be that wind behind you to push you forward.
Are you guys happy that he's getting some of that FAU funds back? Like he spent all that money on that shit.
We gave plenty of money to FAU.
We went in, we got this reward from OWWL, right? We won $3,000 at a pitch competition, part of the FAU Tech Runway. Awesome mentors, by the way, an awesome program. But then I turned around, they said, do something with this money. And look at us now. Now this is Jonathan's check, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, and this was a school that I could not get into. I was a horrible student, and my dad was an FAU graduate, summa cum laude, he graduated with honors. Yeah, and to be able to come full circle, and now FAU's writing me a check, that is out of control. That's like, it blows my mind. Yeah, very cool moment. Very, very cool moment.
Cool. We have another cool moment coming up in a moment.
What do we got?
It's a surprise. Hold on.
It's a surprise.
I got to go out and get the surprise.
Okay. Well, while we're at it, while we're at it, like let's talk business a little bit. I know I wasn't the best employee, but you guys have a great business. And one question that I wanted to ask you: go ahead, talk a little bit about what it is that you guys do in terms of career, and then I want to get into a little bit of what you guys have learned being business owners for over 20 plus years. I have some questions about that I think is going to really help the audience. So go ahead, introduce yourselves in the business. Go for it.
So we run Palmar Forensics. It is a boutique firm focusing on serving our clients, organizations, and C-suite executives, and keeping fraud out of their companies. And what we focus on predominantly not only is data analytics and fraud prevention and detection, internal control assessments, but their niche, or really our claim to fame, is vendor credentialing. And it's kind of sort of you think, what is vendor credentialing? What does that even mean? What's a vendor? Well, vendors are people that provide goods and services to companies. The unusual situation is that vendors sometimes create shell companies or develop relationships. Shell companies are companies that don't really have any operations. They're just physically there in name, but they don't really do anything. But companies oftentimes develop relationships, vendors develop relationships with companies on the inside, and they create these fictitious entities, and funds get dispersed. Money gets dispersed out to them. All companies have vendors. All companies have employees for the most part. I mean, 99% of them. And money only leaves organizations either through vendors or through payroll. And so you really need to know who you do business with. Just try to go to a bank and open up a bank account. What does the bank do? Wants to know everything about you, your social security number, your FEI, your federal employer identification number. That is what they call know your customer. What we do is we sell the service that's called know your vendor. We want to make sure we understand who you're doing business with. And as an example, you would think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Well, we have caught pedophiles wanting to do business in a children's hospital. Think of that. A parent brings their sick child into a hospital.
Here we go.
Who gets assaulted by a pedophile or a rapist or a murderer or someone involved in terrorist funding activities. Vendors do all crazy things. And the last thing we want is any of our clients to be embarrassed. Not every headline is worth making, we always say. And so we want to make sure that our clients are protected from those that are seeking to harm them in some way, shape, or form. And that's what we do. And we've been doing it, thankfully, for almost 25 years. And we enjoyed John's time with us. That logo over top of my left shoulder was developed by John. He rebranded our entire organization. He came over to me one day and said, I think the whole entire website looks stale. The logo looks stale. Let me work on it. And of course, whenever John comes up with any ideas, I always say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Let's see what happens. And it really kind of sort of turned into a super great thing. The cool thing is that's a hidden message in that. So it looks like a P and an F maybe, or something that's kind of combined. But if you turn it sideways completely, and I won't because it's glued on the wall, but you can imagine just turning it a little bit sideways. It's the Christian symbol for fish, because we're a Christian organization and we believe in Christian values. And John designed that, the P, the F, and you just turn it sideways a little bit and you can see the fish. Just imagine that. So that's kind of sort of our company. We service very, very large organizations, and we really, really do a remarkable job in protecting those organizations.
Love it, love it. And if you guys want to reach them, you can. I would love it if you guys or somebody on the other side, Kelsey, I know you're hanging out. Maybe you could help me out, girl, please, please, please. So it's going to be J Palmar, same way I spell my name, J Palmar at palmarforensics.com. Say, hey, I saw this podcast. I think I want to check my vendor list. I think I want to check out to make sure I don't have any fraudulent people working with me. They'd love to have a conversation with you. Obviously, you need to qualify. Don't waste my dad's time. Don't waste mommy's time. But if it's something that you think that your organization could use some work in, then go ahead. That is the email. So jpalmar at palmarforensics.com.
And by the way, John's always said this, and we're big believers in it. We 100% agree with him. If you just have a question, just like John does in his videos, helps people out, listen, just call us. Just reach out to us. Send me an email, go on our website, find
Go on the OWL app.
You know, and if you just have questions, you just don't know, you don't even understand what I was talking about, that's okay. Most people don't. And so we'll sit there and we'll walk you through it, and we'll do some quick tests for you just to make sure that you're in good shape and there's not a problem. Yeah. We're kind of, John used to call us, we're the TSA of business.
Do it.
Just think of it. You don't want to get on an airplane with people you don't know. You don't want to do business with people you don't know who they are.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna have you guys on right now. We're gonna be calling somebody on the OWL app, and you will the individual on the other side of the OWL app is gonna be able to talk to my parents right now. That's kind of cool. So just hang on, guys. And
Sure.
Nancy, how long can you stick around for? I don't want to hold you up. You still with us, Nancy?
Nope,
Nancy?
Mike is not working. Nancy,
your mic's off.
They're so worried about being too loud. You're not holding me up. This is amazing. I'm learning so much.
Okay,
And
awesome.
what's going to happen is at the top of the hour, we will switch to another channel, but then we'll be there and I'll be with you for 3 hours. I'll go in and out of studio, but you've got a channel for 3 hours. Starting at 11, we'll just switch to another one and stay there for the entire time so people don't have to hop around.
Okay, cool.
I have a question for Jonathan's parents.
Oh no. Oh no.
Who in the house drinks all the Diet Coke?
John does.
God.
No. That's a story. Let me tell you a story. You want a story? I'll give you a story. I go to sleep normally very, very early. It has to be probably about 10 o'clock at night. And everyone knows, don't make noise. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to. John, because he's really a weight trainer in disguise, okay, and a very, very good weight trainer too. He has a nutrition issue. He has to eat.
Oh, I know. We went
24/7. If you've ever lived with John, you know what I'm talking about.
We did our influencer retreat together, and I'm like, how many burgers did you just eat? Like,
well,
20?
just think of this. Just think of this. I hear banging of dishes and everything about 2 o'clock in the morning. I go out to the kitchen, and he's frying salmon, frying fish at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying, good God, man. What did you possibly think? The whole entire house reeks of fish, and this is a recurring thing. Ask him about his first truck, the Tundra.
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
We have to do that next because
Well,
we actually have someone on the line right now from OWL.
Okay, so who do we have joining us and my parents and Danielle right now? Who is this?
Oh, well, hello, Mom and Dad. My name is Rebecca Norrington, and I am the Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, blah, 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 student, and also a teacher. So I share with people, that happiness is a practice skill, and I share with people what to practice.
So super, super interesting. Now, I have a very controversial viewpoint of happiness, and I want to kind of challenge this a little bit.
Ooh,
Happiness,
I love it. Yes.
to me, happiness is not a destination that I want to be striving for because, in marketing especially, like a lot of people talk about happiness, open happiness, happiness like with flights and paradise and vacation. I am seeking joy more than happiness, a state of gratitude, a state of acceptance of the moment. And I have a very rough relationship with happiness. And also to kind of share vulnerably, I went through an amphetamine addiction. So, I felt like my happiness chase is a lot of what led me to my amphetamine addiction. So when you say happy, can you help me relearn to be more happy or to embrace happiness?
I'm getting chills because I get this a lot. And the issue is the word. And so take the word away, and I'm talking about a personal energy, a personal vibration of contentment.
Okay.
And that's contentment regardless of what happens in life and regardless of what doesn't happen. So so what I'm talking about is an internal foundation. It's an internal temperature gauge, if you will. And so it's a practice skill. I'm up to 52 program behaviors that subtract from happiness. And when I say happiness, vibe with me with the energy of contentment, joy, contentment. It's the same energy. So people understand inner peace and contentment. That's what I'm really talking about.
Understood.
I have a question for you, Mister. I have a question for you. So do you worry?
Do I worry?
Yes.
Oh, do I worry? I'm in a constant state of worry, actually. I think, and I would love to get my parents in on this because, something I want to commend them. And I know we got to switch pretty soon. We've got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
My parents have been married for how many years now?
37.
37 years. I can't stay married for more than 9 months twice. But my parents over here have been married for a long time. What do you feel is the key to happiness when it comes to a happy marriage? What is the key to that? A happy marriage?
Well, that's a good question. And there's only one reason why people have problems in any kind of relationship, but especially marriage and or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It is lack of acceptance of the other person, wanting the other person to be different, wanting the other person to change, thinking that you know what's best for someone else. So the practice is, when I say happiness or contentment is a practice skill, the practice is acceptance of that other person. And it sounds like both of your parents are doing that after 37 years, acceptance of who they are and not trying to change them.
So here's a thought, and we definitely agree with what you're saying. There's a Bible verse in Ephesians chapter 5 that talks about the key to a successful marriage is love and respect. The Bible, read it for yourself, Ephesians 5:25. Husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. And any husband who loves their wives enough to sacrifice their life for them, the wife will reciprocate that enormously with the respect. Wives need love, husbands need respect. If you can bring those two together, love and respect, you will accomplish many, many great things. And John's absolutely right. You want to strive for joy. Happiness is temporal. Sure. It's short-lived. Joy, the peace and comfort.
Great marketing.
And worry. What's the sense of worrying? The Bible talks about in Matthew 6. You can't even change the color of one hair on your head or know what's happening the next day. It doesn't really matter. You can't do any of it. So why worry about those things? Live today. Serve God, keep his commands, and watch. Everything else will work itself out. Don't worry. It's not going to accomplish anything anyways.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great point. But worrying is a programmed behavior, meaning that we were all taught to worry. We didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to worry. And there's only one reason. There's only one reason why people worry, and it is lack of trust. So you can't trust and worry at the same time. So either you're trusting or you're worrying. And so when I say program behaviors, I'm talking about all of the learned behaviors, from worrying to comparing to living in the future to having expectations to being
you're going through my whole list right now,
and to take anything personally. I would love to chat with you, Jonathan. Take anything personally. Yeah, definitely.
So, and also, since we're talking about relationships, and I'm sure this resonates with you as a man, in order to kind of encapsulate all of it, in order to gain that respect, I feel like, in the past, like when I didn't have my life together, when I was not secure in myself, when I was worried about things that, caused me to not be able to handle my own when you bring somebody else into it, especially a woman, and she does not feel safe, that you can take care of yourself, that you can take care of your own anxiety, your own problems, your own trauma, then all of a sudden they don't feel safe. And if a woman doesn't feel safe, then she's not going to stay with you, right? And that's where the respect comes from, and that's when the love is given. So yeah, I hope that kind of encapsulates all of it. So guys, we have to hop to the next one.
How do we connect to that, John? Where's the link to that one?
Guys, we'll get you guys. Yes. So
it's on the screen right now, and I did put it in the comments. So
comments, yes, you guys can hang out.
So it's right there on the screen, so you guys can follow us over there. I know you don't want to miss a minute. It's been amazing. Are you following us? Are you coming with us still?
You know, I'm going to try to see if I can get that on the screen and copy that link. I'd love to be able to copy. John, if you can send me that link, if at all possible, then I will continue. That's a nice cat phone by there. I like that.
Yeah, there's this, there's the live stream kitty. In the beginning, when I got on 2 years ago, I tried keeping her out, and what happened was after the show I would go outside and find a destroyed home, so she showed me and now she has free reign of any live. I put in the private chat, Jonathan, so you have it, the link, and it's also in the comments.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to participate with you guys, and God bless you all, and I hope it continues to go very, very
Wish me luck. I got another 22 hours.
Actually, hang on. Don't use that link. I'm wrong.
Don't use the link.
Hang on. I'm getting information, from third parties. Hang on a second. I am going to.
While we're doing that, how much do I got? Okay, I got 2 minutes.
You're staying on LinkedIn.
We're still on LinkedIn because that's the whole idea. I don't want people.
Right, we're going to remain on LinkedIn, but hang on, let me find.
Yep.
John, if you want us to join us at any time later on during the day or the
evening. Absolutely. Why don't we talk about this? Like, when it comes to work ethic, do you guys know anybody that is more psychotic than me?
No, there's definitely the key thing is you got to get a little rest in between, John, because we want the John that's fully charged, not the John that's on human power, just kind of moving through by sheer will. Sheer will is not what we want. We want focused.
Yes, but the sheer will is a beautiful quality to have because
you're absolutely right.
If you work harder than every person in the room, you will be successful. It doesn't matter if we get another pandemic. It doesn't matter if the recession is the worst possible. If you outwork everybody in the room, you will always have a job.
That's right.
All right. So I'm going to just give me 1 minute.
All right, let's do it.
I'm going to make sure I have the right link and make sure we all end up in the same place.
Let's do it. All right. We're at 2:00, so let's switch over. Ishan, can you take a seat? I'm going to run to the restroom. And I guess it's just us right now. It's just us? New link. All right, guys. So thanks for being a part of it. What did you guys think? Was it fun?
I think it's spectacular. Really, really great. I don't know why I can't find this on LinkedIn, just regular LinkedIn. Is this a special kind of LinkedIn?
It's on everybody's profile. So we're hopping profiles right now. So we're doing 25 separate profiles today.
When you say a profile, where do I find it?
It's so if you look at like where the cover photo is, that billboard that's at the very, very top of your profile.
Yeah.
That's where you can see yourself on LinkedIn. Yeah. So on the person's profile. So you may not have her profile. That's why you can't see yourself. But I'll send you her link so that you can see that she still should be live streaming.
Yeah. If you, John, if you just email us where you want us to be, and if you just like you did last time, if you email us, if you just text it to us, I'll email it to my laptop, and then we can jump in. I don't care what time it is during the next 25 hours. Just email us whatever, and we can jump back.
So I just sent you a link. You can look at yourself. So check out the link.
I see that link.
Okay, so click on that, and you should see yourself at the top of the profile.
So should I look on it on my phone, or should I look on it
your phone? On your phone, yeah.
I see Nancy, Deb, and then I see us, right over top of her, right? You see it live.
That's where you guys have been broadcasting to the whole audience this entire time. So
okay, so do you want me to go ahead and just send it to my email and just continue on that way if you want?
I'll send you guys the newest link of where I'm hanging out, and then
you send us the newest link whenever you want us, and we're there for you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on the new
program.
So we are live on the next channel. I just want to drop the signal in between so that we didn't know where to go. The destination is Brian Shulman's channel, which I put here for everyone to follow. Hang on, I'm going to put it in the chat. Want to leave this up for you guys for just a minute. All right, well, we'll see you on Brian Schulman's channel in just a minute. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to everyone for sharing your wisdom and yourselves, both here live and in the comments. Always appreciated.